And we'll keep it
We'll keep it
rolling.
going. Yeah, man, it's gonna be live. It's all improvisation, man. It's gonna be crazy. All right. Introduction. 3, 2, 1. We're live. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Today you have Duluth's second most pedantic film podcast. A podcast where we talk about the pedantic details of stuff or something. Yeah, we would be the most pedantic podcast in Duluth, but if you look at the rules, yada, yada, this and this, I won't bore you with the details. On today's panel to discuss La La Land, the function of it as a film drama versus its function as a musical film, we have Aaliyah Nelson, hailing from probably Michigan. We have Laura, hailing from Minnesota. Corey, hailing from the West Coast. And myself, Sean Jones, hailing from the east side of Duluth. But yeah, Leah is a filmmaker, studied music, mother. Laura is an author, also filmmaker. Corey is a photographer, filmmaker, entrepreneur, Tinker Tailor Soldier, all that kind of stuff. Consultant, all that kind of stuff. If you want a question answered, he has Corey. All right, let's start off today with some basic thoughts on the film. You mind going first, Laura?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I'd say with watching the film, like first impressions when I first saw it a few years ago, I actually really liked the film. It was really fun, very whimsical, the music. I personally really like jazz, so I liked that aspect of it. I got really excited when it got into the jazz conversation because I too felt like there were oftentimes moments where people kind of blew aside jazz, didn't think it was important. I took a trip to New Orleans a few years ago and just like fell in love with jazz. So I loved that conversation with it, and I liked the overall plot of like striving to accomplish a dream. It really resonated with me as I'm working with my dreams, both back then when I was working on solidly working on filmmaking, and now when I'm trying to be a writer and an author. It just really resonates with people, I feel like. So initially I loved the film, and growing up, getting older, analyzing the film some more, I mean, you can definitely see the pull and tug of like, oh, what's good, what's bad about it. Overall, though, my thoughts are it's a fun film to just sit down and enjoy and watch. If you start thinking critically about it, you'll notice things, but for the most part, I enjoyed it.
Cool beans. Aaliyah?
That's really cool you went to New Orleans, Laura. I just want to say that. I have not been there. So when I first saw it, when it came out, I was unimpressed, and I remember talking to Sean about it, remember talking to you about it, Sean, which I think is partly what sparked the idea for this podcast, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I can be quite pedantic. I like to pull things apart, and maybe I'm overly critical. That could be one of my faults that I have. I would say, and then I rewatched it for this podcast. I agree with Laura. I think it's fun. I think it's bright and colorful. I love the colors. I love that it makes Los Angeles and Hollywood look way prettier than it actually is in real life. I've been there. I was super underwhelmed. And I do think, for me, I love the old musicals. I grew up watching some of those old musicals. And so comparing it to that, it's a little bit of a letdown, I will say. But maybe I'm just too traditional in how I feel about musicals. I don't know. I appreciate the movie. I think it's pretty fun to watch. I don't care to really watch it again. I'll just leave it at that for now.
Okay. Corey?
Yeah, it's more musical than drama, I'd say. It has some good moments in it, but overall, lighting wise, it followed a very simple approach as far as, musicals have to be entirely perfectly lit. It comes from, musical theater, and that translates well to film in terms of creating these almost single position shots and having lots of coordination, lots of very specific coordination with actors, color coordination, everything's perfectly lit, not a shadow in the entire film, unless it's called for, that type of thing. But yeah, overall, I think it cleaned up at the Academy Awards in that year. That's one thing. So really, people have strong feelings one way or the other about this movie. So I'm curious
Okay.
what you guys have to say about that.
Yeah.
I would agree. There's some passion on both sides.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I should probably do my thoughts. I'm trying to. I have a more jokey joke way of talking about it or whatever. But I think I'll probably try to stay more aligned with the way you guys did it. It's it reminds me quite a bit of a lot of action films where sometimes the writing will be there, but not necessarily the elements of the actually quite literally in this case, some of the choreography and stuff, but enough of it's there, like a Marvel film. You don't quite, it's whatever. But so Damien Chazelle as a writer seems to do jazz quite a lot as one of his themes. I guess he was a drummer in high school or something, and then decided he couldn't have a real life, or wasn't good enough, and I think also probably realized he wouldn't have a real life if he was to pursue that high technical level. So it seems to be a theme in this in Whiplash, which I probably should have watched, but
Yeah, me too. I would like to.
yeah, and I think about that. They're companion pieces. They're both about elitist jazz elitism and stuff like that. My grandmother used to sing jazz and did like military competitions and stuff. It's always kind of been there. Scott Joplin. I had a book of Scott Joplin ragtime stuff. It was the only kind of piano I liked doing back the day. And then I'm a big fan of Gershwin, Herbie Hancock, especially I like his System Shock album and stuff. Yeah, progressive rock, which is a mixture of classical jazz and rock from like the early 70s, not the progressive rock from the 90s, like early King Crimson and stuff like that. So it struck me odd when you think about Miles Davis and did they mention Miles Davis in the film? I don't know if anyone.
Not that I caught. I don't know.
He probably did. I was watching
I think
Collateral.
so.
Yeah, I was watching Collateral though. There's a whole scene in Collateral where Tom Cruise's character is talking to this guy. And the guy's talking about that kind of thing that Sebastian does, where he's talking about the oldies, which was a super interesting thing. This is really roundabout, but his view on jazz is really specific, is what I'll say. Like, I don't think it's been true about jazz since the 60s. Like, you think about Miles Davis's 70s albums versus some of the groups that were popular in the 70s, had a mixture of synthesizers like ARP 2600s and stuff like that, and the Herbie Hancock early 70s stuff. Miles, I think, had a 68 album. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I'm not quite to that era. And it's the film's discussion about jazz is really improvisation is a part of jazz and stuff. But it's like, well, if improvisation is what makes jazz, wouldn't rock also be jazz? You know what I'm saying? Or all the other different kind of digital stuff, which is really pedantic. And he's a pedantic character. He doesn't have to be like right per se. But I kind of wish there would have, if it was a film actually about jazz, as in like the ethos and the pathos of jazz, I wish there would have been multiple viewpoints and different kind of, like you do have John Legend's character, you do have Mia's perspective, but almost a more stripped back film that would have not had the romance angle and just would have been, I don't know if you guys saw the film Soul, that was the animated film. I feel like that was a slightly...
I think it flopped.
Well, yeah, it came out during the early days of COVID. You know what I'm saying? Like when no one was going to the theater. Tenet would have made $1 billion if it... That doesn't make any sense, but would have made $1 billion, yeah. So it's one of those things where every angle I come at the film, it kind of like goes to some bizarre place where I'm like, I get he's pedantic, but like the people I met in real life are like usually kind of like one or two lanes. He probably exists, but he's a really particular version of it. And maybe I'm not saying it the most coherent way. But the writing, the dialogue, I actually remember large swaths of this film's dialogue in terms of like scenes. Not so much for the music. The opening number. I have a hard. I don't know if it's the mix. I went to the basement and put it on a sound system. I still had a hard time remembering all the lyrics. The lighting is good, but it's not classical. It's its own thing, and it works better in places. But on an overall, I think it's very good. There's just some the opening sequence is the weirdest one where they're all backlit, but I think it's because they picked a Steadicam shot, so whatever direction the sun's going, there's nowhere to put any raking around there, so they kind of were stuck with what they got. And the whatever. But at the same time, I don't know, it's tough. I think it's very good, but it's like, isn't it the kind of what Singing in the Rain was, all that kind of stuff? I don't know. I think I'd rather have a new musical that doesn't necessarily reference other musicals than,
Sure.
yeah. So that's the long-winded version of that. So, but let's bring out the outline so we get back on track here. So I have this divided up into sections. The first item I have here is the writing. Do you guys want to? I know, Laura, you had quite a few thoughts on themes. Is that tied into the music, or did you want to do it under writing, or?
I mean, you could look at it either way. I definitely focused on the music with that, but there's like an overall theme throughout the whole film, or a couple of overall themes, whether or not that's. I mean, I didn't really dive too much into the specific writing, but I mean, yeah, I can certainly talk a little bit, kind of my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever you had, you can go into that. So yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of just went through looking at the music. I do agree that, like, in some sense, the songs were more basic, more simple. I mean, they were fun, they were flashy. There were a few of the songs I did really like, that I feel like kind of brought out the main theme of the movie overall. And like one of them was like when Seb's playing the piano, he has a solo going. It's when Mia first sees him, or like first officially sees him and meets him, and she kind of is like falling in love in that moment. But for him, he's playing the music because he's so in love with the jazz, and so there's that like theme of like there's this unequal balance of where their love lies, which we see over time. He falls in love with her a little bit too, but we just already know that there's like a recipe for unbalance with that. And that song is played throughout the whole film at different points, and I've noticed that it has like a different like melody to it. Like sometimes it's more sorrowful and melancholy, it's got like longing and woefulness. Other times it's more like upbeat and like happy and hopeful. And it definitely reflects like the character's emotions. So I feel like that was like an underlying theme throughout the whole film. Writing style wise, I think it was their way. I mean, in general, musical, they always use the music to show what they want to portray, like with the writing, the screenplay sets it up, and this is what this song will do, this is what that song will do. So I feel like with that one, it was definitely laying out their like love relationship and how they ebbed and flowed, and their emotions back and forth with how they were falling in love with each other, how Seb was falling in love with jazz and out of love with the new modern jazz and everything with that. But I think the main theme throughout the whole film was focused on like dreamers and people who are dreaming and striving to accomplish their dreams, even with the opening sequence, and how there's like a bunch of diversity, but we're all here, we're all dreaming, we all have our hopes. We're excited about them, but we're stuck in traffic. It's nothing we can do in the moment. We're stuck waiting. A lot of times it's just a waiting game to accomplish our dreams. And kind of following up with that theme, the last song, which was my favorite one, or I think it was last song or one of the last, where Mia is singing her song about the here's to the dreamers, or here's to the ones who dream. And it's just kind of this like heartfelt, like she's been through this journey, like she's been taking these dreams and working so hard, and like she's just laying out her story and the inspiration for what she's going through and why she dreams. I think it was because of her aunt that told her this story about jumping in the river, and it was cold, but yet it was worth it to do it again. So I liked that overall message of like encouraging dreamers to keep pushing for their dreams, to be keeping inspired despite the pain that you go through. It's really hard. I think that's something a lot of us can relate to. Probably everybody can relate to in anything they pursue in life that they really want. So I don't know if I would say that's like a strong writing style, but it definitely focuses on something that can resonate with everyone, which I think is very important for a film in general. But yeah, you can definitely take that or leave it as you want, of like, well, do we want something that's like, yep, we all know that, we feel that, or do we want something that's like different and new, and like a different thought process? So
Did you guys see The Artist, the 2011 film? It was like
yeah.
No,
like
I've
a
been
tip of the
wanting to
hat.
forever.
It's like a tip of the hat homage to silent films, and
Oh, The
has a really
Artist.
cool.
Oh, I was thinking the
Yeah, The
Disaster
Artist.
Artist. It's like, but never mind.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's a great one.
That's
But yeah, The Artist. I feel like that falls in the same kind of category of like tribute films. This seems like a tribute film to all the great musicals, and kind of takes notes from the great ones, and just kind of makes just a homogenous goop of better films. And that's good. That's actually in film and cinema and filmmaking in general. That's depending on who you talk to, that's kind of like a sin. That's kind of like a cliche thing to reference a quote or something from a better movie in your movie. It's almost like jinxing your film and guaranteeing it to be less than stellar. So it seems like this film touched the nerve on that aspect of, okay, this moment is trying to be like this film. Clearly they're just doing it in this way, and if you try to mimic something better, why do it at all if you can't do it as good as possible or even better?
Yeah. I'll ask you this question real quick here. Would you, if you had to classify this film, would you classify it as something like drama or musical if you had to pick one? Or would it fall into musical drama or something?
Are you asking me?
Are you asking all of us? Or?
Sorry. I said Laura, but I probably went Laura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would definitely classify it as a musical. I feel like just the run of the mill, like standard definition of a musical, because I had the songs and everything. There's certainly a drama, but I think with musicals, there's always like the subgenres that they're in. So like, if you're looking at like Into the Woods, the genre is fantasy. If you're looking at like Greatest Showman, I guess that's more of a drama as well. Just those sort of things. Les Mis is kind of like a drama operatic thing. I would say it's a musical drama, but definitely like if you're having to pick the two, musical, because just with the amount of music that was in it and the overall story was told through music. There were moments in between the songs where like they had the plot develop, but it's like the general feeling of the characters and what moved it along, of like showing their emotions and how they were feeling and why they were making the decisions they did, was portrayed through the music. So ultimately, to me, that felt more like a musical. But
yeah, fair enough. How about you, Corey? Thoughts? You did go into some of it, but do you have, let's say, intertextual and agnostic, or as in not looking at other films, how would you look at this film's writing?
I think the film was used as a vehicle to move from one song to the next, with the backdrop of the two characters sort of having these intertwining moments. But it had the star power there to just you can look at it this way. You can look at it as kind of like a cheat code to get crazy amounts of Academy Awards. You know, you cast the biggest, best actors in a sort of rom-com script and put fun, whimsical music in it, and with very little effort or passion from a subjective point of view. Just make a film that's a rom-com and musical, which are, think about those two genres. I mean, how much effort really goes into those. I mean, there's like in the film Enchanted just makes fun of the tired formula of a rom-com, you know, and yeah, I kind of ran out of steam on that one, but
Oh, you're fine. Yeah.
I totally agreed with everything you said until you said musicals in general don't take effort. Because the old ones, for sure, a lot went into them.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much with like complex filmmaking, but the actual writing and the music and the dancing, a lot went into that for sure in the older ones.
Yeah.
I misspoke on that. Yeah,
Yeah,
Singing in the Rain is great. There's some great ones out there.
Oh,
That
there's lots of them. I mean, I think the comparison would be, it's like a lot of things where in the past they had, like we have visual effects studios, they had on-staff writers, songwriters, choreographers like Fred Astaire. That the infrastructure's not there anymore like it used to be. Probably not since the 60s at least, but yeah. I guess you, Leah, we're talking specific of writing, but you can incorporate the songs you want too. So.
So, Sean, you had mentioned earlier in the opening number not remembering the lyrics. That's if we're just looking at the music for starters, I thought the music lyrics were really lacking and very forgettable and not catchy. And I liked the music. I mean, I didn't think it was bad, and it was pretty. But and then like I've been ever like this whole day I've just in my mind do 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 like that's been in my head. So obviously that's catchy, but the songs as a whole, I don't think they're catchy. I would not consider them show tunes ever. They're not something anybody's gonna sing at karaoke. I mean, who knows? There's someone probably has, but so that's how I feel about the music writing. And I thought the dialogue in some scenes was actually really good. The dinner table scene where they were arguing about, she's talking to Seb and she's like, "Well, is this your dream? Do you even like this music?" I thought that was really good. I thought that was very like they were totally misunderstanding each other, which is so realistic when you get in an argument with your partner to just be like not really understanding what the other person is saying, but then you're offending them, they're offending you, and you're not meaning to. And I loved that scene. That was my favorite scene in the movie, actually. And I think the movie would have been better if it was just not a musical. And I think they could have had more scenes like that and would have been better.
Yeah, did you? Oh, I tried to tell you wrapped up. I'm assuming you did.
I think that's all I have for now.
Okay, sorry. That scene where she does the addition at the end and she starts singing, I'm like, oh, we're back to this. It's been a while. So it's like, yeah.
That was weird.
Well, and that's to bring up the thing about the writing in my brain. It's about jazz, but it's not. But it's also not about acting. I don't know if you would. It's where you never see the play she does.
Right.
You hear everything around it. So she talks about her aunt's experiences, the final numbers about that. So it's like Ryan Gosling, I think technically is the main character, and it's more balanced in the earlier parts of the story and stuff. I don't know. I think the way I would put the writing is, some writers are really good at dialogue, some writers are really good at structure, some writers are really good at everything that functions. Chazelle is really good at like developing these characters and stuff like that. The actual structure of it is good, but I do wonder if it has some issues with priorities, is what I would say. I don't know if that's even a specific enough complaint to bring up, but it's because the music thing is there, and then you also have the thing about her performance, and you also have their relationship. You almost have these like this three-ring circus that has to juggle, and it does a
Sure.
good enough job of doing that. But I almost wish one of the rings disappeared, so you would only have the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's kind of too much going on.
yeah.
Like, what is this movie really trying to be? That's what I was asking myself. And as far as what it's about, like what Laura had brought up about, it's really about dreams. It's about dreamers. It's about
Yeah, I
what are
agree.
the people in Los Angeles? Who are these people that live in Los Angeles? What's their heart? It's kind of like this is the heart of the people in Los Angeles. You know, it's La La Land. You know, and I actually like the name, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, there's kind of too much going on. It dragged a little bit at times. It was I felt like it was a little bit of a snooze fest at times, despite the beautiful colors and the beautiful scenery.
Mm.
And that was captivating. To me, that was the two things that were captivating for me was
Yeah, one Best Picture.
No.
yeah.
I mean,
No.
at the Golden
Or did it?
Globes.
I
Yeah.
think it did in a different country. I had read something that it won Best Picture in like Britain or something.
No. So it won Golden Globes. It might have won the BAFTA. It won Best Picture for about 10 seconds, but the guy read the card wrong. And then Moonlight won that year. Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's way funnier than that.
It was the Golden Globe Award for Best Motion Picture in 2017.
Yeah, or comedy or something like that. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Did I derail
Something
you
just
there?
popped in my head. Oh, sorry.
Did I derail you,
But-
or did?
Go ahead, Lee.
I don't need to finish my I guess now I see it's hard. My notes are all over the place, but
Okay.
the only things that were captivating, I was going to say, was the colors, the setting, and that one scene, that one dinner table scene. I thought that was really captivating. And I want to know you guys' thoughts on something. So I think this movie fits so well. It's a perfect picture of where our society has come, right? Like we've gone from this fine art, this high art, like the paintings that took forever to paint, and they're just outstanding. They take incredible skill. And that's how I feel about a lot of these older musicals, like the skill that went into them. Like Fiddler on the Roof is one of my favorites. The Sound of Music. Like these people were incredibly crafted and talented. And I think this movie is kind of like, well, you know, their dancing is okay, the singing is okay, it's fine, you know, but everybody loves it, and it's like that's fine that people love it. I have no problem with that. What is my question? I don't remember what my question was. I guess I'm curious what you guys think of that. Like,
Is this an analog for something else? Is that what you're asking? Is it representative trends? Go ahead, Corey.
I think what you're trying to say is, Hollywood is kind of, instead of making films that kind of push the envelope, this is a film that kind of feels more like a theme park than an actual film. Would you agree with that?
Sure. And it's not going to I don't think it's going to go down in history as like the film that you got to watch over and over again, and the film that you're excited to show your kids. That you might like Willy Wonka is a classic. Like, is La La Land a classic? And that's fine that it's not. You know, I don't think that's bad. Maybe it is, though.
Remember the line, Hollywood worships everything, respects nothing? In the context
Yeah,
of,
that was a good line.
Yeah. Did you guys see Scorsese's Hugo? 2011, same year as The Artist. Asa
I did not see
Butterfield.
that.
I actually think it's a slightly better version of this, as in the category. It's not a romantic comedy. It's based off a novel written by a guy that his dad was like a famous producer, but this kid that lives in a train station discovers Georges Méliès. You guys, the guy who did To the Moon and Back and all those early
Yeah,
silent
I
films.
have seen that movie. I've seen Hugo.
and the film uses that as a way. The film is kind of about film in the sense, but when it references a shot from like Harry Lloyd's Safety First, it's in a completely different context. It's not a comedy or whatever, And then you have George Méliès, the guy that they're referencing, explaining his own work, explain why it went out of fashion, how he had to sell everything, and the film reels got melted down to make high heels and all that kind of stuff. And it actually goes into some of the behind the scenes and and how he discovered motion pictures as an art form. But the drama is completely over here. Like it's about an orphan running from the cops and all that kind of stuff. It's like a completely maintaining a train station and stuff. And it does kind of come together at the end where he gets adopted by Méliès, and you kind of learn why he ended up the way he did, and about him kind of his art being reimagined. I'd recommend that, but there was some kind of takeaway I had for this. I can't remember. Maybe we'll go to the next bullet point. Aaliyah, the scene where he's in he's like, hey, what you doing for the rest of the day? Then he takes her to the jazz club that's open in the middle of the day. And it takes you to the jazz club that's open in the middle of the day, and it goes, yeah, it's all like improvisation, conflict. This guy's doing that. Did you like that, or?
I thought that was fun. I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny when you said that he's pedantic, because I'm like, the way he feels about jazz is probably the way I feel about musicals. It's kind of like, whatever. Like I thought it was fun, a fun scene.
Yeah.
I liked the dialogue there.
If you had to explain jazz to somebody, would you start with improvisation?
So, admittedly, I don't know much about jazz, and I haven't studied jazz. I know improvisation was a big thing for them that they practiced at UWS, the jazz band.
Yeah.
And I went to a couple of their concerts, and they were great. But you kind of hit on that earlier, and you're probably right, because you probably know more about jazz than I do, that improvisation is just a small piece of jazz.
I don't know how to explain it. So he's right, and I might be speaking a little bit above my expertise here. He's right, but not in the context of musicals. And that's what bothers me, is musicals are choreographed, jazz is not. So Gershwin, who would have influenced a lot of musicals, that's all written down. You know what I'm saying? But Small Band is. So the issue is the entire soundtrack is a weird mixture of like Gershwin, not Sound of Music, but like 40s era, and then it goes to like more improvisational jazz and like switches back and forth. And I can't think of too many jazz musicals off the top of my head. There's one with like Louis Armstrong back in the day and stuff, but it's a more pop thing. But a musical was more Broadway back then, so it was like jazz flavored. If you get what I'm saying.
Sure.
And then the farther you get away from New Orleans, it becomes different things. So like, I was hearing about a band in the 70s that it sounded like they were improvised, but they would write it all out ahead of time. So it had an improvised flavor to it, or something like that. But I think one guy said the idea of jazz was to figure out a way to create something in the complexity of classical music, but have it be able to be improvised, and soloing's a big part of jazz. He said, "Oh, look, he's taken over, but there's some formal rules to how that works, which is fine. I don't think the film's about jazz in that way, but it's one of those things where it hints at an interesting discussion, but it doesn't have the time for it. So I'm almost like, I would love to have him go." Like, the musicians on the stage get off the stage, and they're all sitting around a table, and the guy's going, jazz is about this. The guy's like, no, man, jazz is really about this, man. The guy's over there is like, no, jazz really that was jazz, then this is jazz now. And, like, the scene where he's in the studio, and John, I think it's John Legend's character, presses, like, the thing on the launch pad and starts going into like synthesizers and drum machines and stuff. And he's all like, "Oh my gosh, what is this?" And I'm like, "I don't know, jazz kind of pioneered some of that stuff in the '60s." Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, but that's a tangent. Laura,
Can I add something to what? Can I interject what you just said though?
yeah,
So when John Legend is saying, jazz fusion, this is what we got to do, he's like, because nobody's listening to the old jazz anymore. Nobody cares about that. So we got to bring it into the future. We got to bring it into the modern era. I just had this realization. Like, do you think that is kind of the director's thought about musicals as well? Like he was trying to bring musicals into the modern era and give it a fresh modern twist that people are actually going to like. And like, who cares about the old musicals? Like, yeah, well, we don't have to do it like them. We're going to take the good stuff from the old ones and then we're going to add some modern, fresh twist and everybody's going to love it. And they did. I mean, everybody loved it. So he was right.
yeah.
He pleased everybody but me.
But yeah, and apparently the members of the Academy for that specific award. Oh, the other thing is I didn't bring up was jazz chords, specifically the jazz flavor to music, because jazz has a flavor. But anyways, I think if I was talking to John, you said you had something, Corey?
Yeah, I found something online. It's a review paper. I think there's a line in it that explains the setting of this film well, and so it starts with, if nothing else, the omnipresence of jazz in a film so widely honored suggests that jazz still has some resonance with audiences. But like almost every other American film that would represent jazz, La La Land runs smack up against racial issues. The film's appropriation of jazz in the face of the music's complicated racial histories has driven a backlash against the film. You talked about this up front, and you had thoughts on that about jazz being more of an American-made thing rather than an exclusively, uniquely African-American cultural practice. But that's where it came from. And so the contention in this film that was created is that I read something else that like Ryan Gosling is this like white savior of jazz, and that's where a lot of contention comes in this film. So, what do you guys think about that? Is it because it's a musical? The sort of accidental run-in with this deeper issue. Is it a softer hit because there's song and dance in the middle of it, or do you think appropriation is taking place in this film about trying to save jazz, but it's Ryan Gosling doing it?
I think that there's certainly a topic with that, certainly a conversation to be had with that. But in the context of like focusing on the overall film, I feel like jazz can be looked at from anybody's viewpoint, and however you want to take it with this film, I don't know. That's a complicated one because
It's the same with rock. It's the same with R&B. It's the same with that. You go down this, you fall off a cliff where every form of music has been appropriated. Anything pop.
Sure.
Yeah, at that point. So you fall off a cliff. Elvis is a good example of that. The Beatles, all that stuff. Maybe
Sure. I think that goes back to the point of like, it's a musical, it's fun, it's singing and dancing, and there's no real reason to read too much into it. And when you do, it gets confusing and weird.
Yeah.
Like cats.
Yeah. And you look anything up like the PlayStation 5, they'll bring up contemporary political issues, and you're like, oh, I just wanted to know when it was coming out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay. It's more of like a rage bait point than anything else. Okay.
Oh yeah, conflict sells, man. If it bleeds, it leads.
Oh yeah.
Going back to the camera work, Corey, you had quite a few thoughts on that. Did you want to go into your thoughts on the camera work?
Not much to say about that besides it just being in the genre that it is. So there's a lot of great coordination. There's a lot of great what I would say is like symbiosis between camera movement and actors just on cue with moving in things, and a lot of single shots that were really impressive. So like there's definitely a spotlight on the layers that make a great film in this one because of its approach to the genre. But at the same time, I think it just generally speaking, it falls flat in that regard. It's pretty though. It's very colorful.
Have you seen something like the Robert Wise ones, like Sound of Music or West Side Story?
I'm not really a musical guy.
Okay.
I haven't seen those. I watched Singing in the Rain in film class and in
Yeah.
Lino's class.
Yes, I definitely recommend. I've yet to see. I was going to watch West Side Story for this. Michael Bay's favorite film, actually.
West Side Story is awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's great.
Yeah, it's in my queue. I just hadn't gotten around to it. That and all the different versions of A Star Is Born too, which is similar to this. How about you, Leah? Did you have thoughts on the camera work? Or?
Well, for me, this is so basic, but there wasn't enough close-ups for me.
Okay.
I'm a close-up gal, and I think the one-shot scenes. But see, I didn't even notice that, and that's probably because I'm not like camera work is not my thing that I automatically pay attention to when I watch a movie. I'm like more paying attention to the dialogue a lot. That's a big one. But that opening scene was all done in one shot. And I wouldn't have known that if I didn't see it in a review. And I was like, oh, I got to rewatch that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But I felt like the
Big
opening
fan of one
scene,
shots.
the opening scene to me, that just totally missed the mark anyway. Like, I don't like, okay, that's cool. It was one shot, but it didn't have that impressive pop that group numbers normally have in musicals that are just like, and I was trying to figure out why. What was missing? Like what? And I think it's because the film was trying to just be normal people, you know?
Okay.
Let me explain that.
Yeah.
Musicals are always about normal people who just randomly sing and dance, right?
Yeah.
And you might hate that and you might love that. I love it. But it's supposed to be like, you're not supposed to be thinking about the fact that they're really good at singing and dancing. It's supposed to be the part that captivates you, so you don't have to think about it, right? You don't notice it because it's good, so you don't notice it.
Yeah.
Whereas in this movie, you notice it because it's not good enough. But it's like, well, they're just normal people. So that's the whole point. Like, that's the whole point, is because they're normal people. And I'm like, I get it. I get that that's the point. I just don't like it.
Did you feel that the other singers outside of Gosling and Stone were stronger?
The only singer that was good was John Legend, and that's because he is a singer. It's because he is a singer.
Yeah, because I read in one review, and I it could have been the mixing even, but the other people's voices didn't carry either, like in the opening set, yeah.
No, they just weren't strong. They just weren't strong singers. That's because they were supposed to be like just regular LA folk, and it's like, great. They accomplished that. Good. They're regular LA folk that if a regular LA person walked out of their car and started singing, that's what they would sound like. So
There's gotta be more theater kids than that in LA. You know what I'm saying? Like this conference I was just doing was just at. One of my friends just wrote a song. The dude's voice carried so much. He was like stressing out our sound system. You know, it's night and day when you have a good singer. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't even need the amplification at that point. You
well,
know?
That's cool.
right. And
Yeah.
musicals traditionally, like they don't even like opera. I'll just go with opera. They don't necessarily use microphones a lot because their voices just carry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have a voice that carries if you're gonna be singing in a movie or on a stage.
Yeah. Do you
But not anymore, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think? And I right before we got here, I have some fluorine speakers in the basement, and I was listening to them. Like the actual production values of the music, like the instrument, is pretty good. I mean, this guy I think has won awards for his other two films with Chazelle. Whiplash and First Man all got pretty high marks for their score. I think he's his college roommate. He also wrote the lyrics too, which he's his college roommate. But do you feel like the same crew, but say they picked unknowns off of Broadway, might have been able to do something different? You know what I'm saying? If they weren't starting with that palette, you know what I'm saying? Or
Like if they had better talent that was
Yeah.
more suited to a musical,
yeah,
well, the film wouldn't have done anywhere near as well. But I don't know. I mean, there's been successful projects where everybody was unknown, right? I mean,
Yeah.
look at Stranger Things. Totally not a musical, but none of those people are really known. I mean, the kids certainly were not known. They did that
No.
on purpose. They just wanted regular kids, and they
Yeah, Chalamet. Look at Chalamet. I mean,
wildly successful. So, I don't like that. I mean, I wish that they would have taken real people from Broadway and somebody that could really play the piano, for heaven's sakes. There's this scene where in the beginning where he's playing with a record, he's practicing with a record.
Yeah.
You can clearly see his right hand is not playing the notes. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
I get it. Ryan Gosling, he's a heartthrobber. I get it. But you know what? Again, I keep coming back to this. The film was wildly successful. It made money. So if that's what it set out to do, it accomplished it.
Yeah.
that's the entirety of Hollywood right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it worships everything, respects nothing. The budget on this was like $30 million, which
Yeah.
to put that in like Marvel terms, they could have made 10 of these for actually, or maybe more than the last. If they've been, the budgets on those go up to like $350 million. I think like a John Wick film's about 110. So this film probably broke even a lot of breaking. Like it made so much money over its production budget. That makes me wonder if that's all you need. You know what I'm saying? $30 million is not that much of a financial risk. Is it that hard to greenlight a musical? You know what I'm saying? That's bizarre to me.
I want to bring that up. So
Yeah.
Chazelle, he had written this before Whiplash came out, and nobody picked it up. But then because Whiplash was so successful, then they thought, okay, we'll take a chance on this guy, right?
Yeah.
But see, they knew it wasn't good enough on its own, right?
You had to put the biggest stars they could possibly get.
Right. They had to make it big in other ways. Yeah. I really want to see Whiplash because I saw the trailer and it really intrigued me.
Yeah, and I think
better.
Yeah, I think it has similar pedantic jazz problems, but at least I think Miles Teller is a musician, so it's a lot closer. Like yeah, because drums versus singing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying drums is easier, but it's easier to fake. But yeah, I'm trying to think. There are people in Hollywood who can sing. I mean, like if you're making a pop musical, it'd be a lot easier. You know, like I think The Greatest Showman had an advantage in that case. I didn't actually see that one because.
Don't bother.
Yeah, but I mean, my sister
Just
liked
kidding.
it, or whoever.
Don't listen to me.
Yeah. But
I'm
like,
the Grinch.
what's it? Hugh Jackman had a band back in the '80s, and for a pop musical, that's all the requirements meet. Like, so, some, and it depends on the songs you're singing, obviously, and all that stuff. But we don't even get that many of those either. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. Like we get some weird films. Do you remember Mary Poppins 2 with Emily Blunt?
Yeah, I don't think I watched it.
Yeah, I never got to see that. But
I didn't know there was a Mary Poppins too. I think they covered all the subject matter in the first one. The lady with who flies.
Well, the ironic part is there's several books. I don't know if it's because they're, let's say, have similar issues to some of the Roald Dahl books that, you're going over to, Africa or something like that. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I was watching it and they get up there and all the song, and I'm like, oh, the funny thing is one of the Shermans who wrote the original ones is still alive. And I'm like, if he worked on this, it must be because he was 80 or something. But at the same time, it's like there's no reason why Disney has multiple decades of songwriters they could pull from, that this is the best they could pull off. And that was, I think it came out around the same time. I don't know if Emily Blunt can sing, but My Fair Lady, Audrey Hepburn was dubbed over. The original version of My Fair Lady was Julie Andrews on the stage. I think it came out the same year as the original Mary Poppins. But they dubbed her over. There's a lady who for like 20, 30 years dubbed over. I mean, it's a plot point in Singing in the Rain, the original. Whereas if you got somebody who couldn't sing or wasn't as strong enough to sing, you would go out and get them dubbed. And that means you could get somebody who has insane talent at that point, and you could have you could have like, oh, we want someone who has the craziest vocal range, whatever.
Yeah. I want to know, why do you guys think that this change has taken place with musicals specifically? Because we obviously still love musicals. I mean,
Some of
people
us.
do. Well, sure, but
Yeah.
enough people, like people loved Greatest Showman. They
Yeah.
loved it. They loved La La Land. So
Yeah.
it being a musicals not being popular anymore is obviously not the problem. But why did we have to make this shift when, like you're saying, Sean, there's plenty of talent? The talent has not gone away. So why has the quality gone down?
I think it's the same issue they have with everything. A few high-profile musicals lost a ton of money. So it went from, in the 40s, there was like 500 musicals in 1 year. So like Shotgun, a few of those had to be good at that statistically, right? And by the time you get to the 60s, they were making these extremely expensive musicals that, like Bye Bye Birdie, Oliver. I've never heard anything about them. They're probably fine, you know, because
Oliver's great.
Yeah, Oliver I think won Best Picture, but they were super expensive. Some of them paid off, some didn't. Fiddler on the Roof is from that era, but I feel like it's in a different category. And so then the same thing too is they had a bunch of Motown musicals in the 70s, and The Wiz came out, bombed, and then they didn't make any more after that point, which is a travesty. I don't know if you've seen The Wiz.
I couldn't get through it. I've seen maybe a little tiny bit of it.
The guy who directed it did 12 Angry Men. Being able to choreograph 12 Angry Men apparently is a different skill. Like the actual direction's not great. He doesn't seem to know where to put the camera. But you got like Michael Jackson and all the Motown greats. So the actual performance part's amazing. Also weirdly miscast in some other places, but it seems like all the infrastructure that used to be there just doesn't exist anymore because of a few high profile. And then I guess Sharks, I mean, in the 70s they probably learned, okay, you got The Wiz losing money and a much cheaper thing with a shark making a ton of money. You know, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it used to, so like the Blockbuster probably killed all that, but there was still some in the 90s, wasn't there? A few high profile ones in the 90s.
Did you know there was a straight to DVD Titanic musical animated?
Was that Titanic 2?
Yeah,
Okay. I'm sure it's great.
the movie nobody asked for.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of like what's it, Gladiator 2? Have you heard about that? That's a thing that's coming out.
I didn't know that was a thing. Oh, okay, yeah.
It's actually like a real thing. They're making a Gladiator 2, and it's like, oh wait, I can't wait for all of those to come out. You know, where, you know, all the movies where the dog dies at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just,
Lassie 2. Okay.
yeah, Sounder 2. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if the dog dies in Sounder. It's like Magnificent Seven getting like 50 sequels and TV show. It's like, I think only 3 of them survived. Do they just get another 4 every film and those guys die? And you know what I'm saying? They keep moving on.
The cool 17. I mean, you could do that.
Yeah.
You could do that with all the numbers.
And it's like, if you don't have Yul Brynner, you shouldn't even bother. You know what I'm saying at that point? I don't know how many of those he was in, but or whoever they had. Like I said, I think they had Denzel in the newest one. I mean, Yul Brynner, Denzel, that's pretty close. But yeah, that's kind of funny. And now I think about it, Ryan Gosling's probably the closest thing we have to a star these days, outside of maybe like Amy Adams or Ryan Reynolds or something. Like, we don't have people who can like The Rock can't sell a film on his own, I think is what they found out more recently. Like, you can't just like Black Adam or films like Skyscraper. But if you put them in a ensemble cast with like 5 other people,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But it has to be like an IP attached to it, the intellectual property.
Yeah, that's all Hollywood wants to do these days,
Yeah.
and that's the unfortunate thing. The fortunate thing at the same time is with the influx of all these streaming sites, they're desperate for content, and so
Yeah.
independent filmmakers have a better chance than ever to sell their feature to Tubi or Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime, you could just upload it and sell it yourself, and they'll take a piece. There really is no executives you have to talk to or anything like that to pitch it to. You can just do it, and that's cool.
But yeah, I actually
It's
said,
surprising to me that there's so many films that come out that, oh yeah, there was the first version of this in 1949. It's like,
oh yeah,
okay,
a Star is Born.
Jesus.
Right.
They come out with a new one of that like
Have you
every.
seen A Star Is Born, Sean? The newest with Lady Gaga.
No, I was gonna watch the Judy Garland one the other day. Did you like it?
I liked the Lady Gaga one. That's the only one I've seen, and that was when it came out. I saw it in the theaters, so that was a long time ago. I'd have to rewatch it now. Maybe my opinions have changed, but
Yeah.
I certainly liked it better than La La Land.
Well, she can sing that. I mean, yeah.
Well, that helps.
Yeah,
That helps. But I really liked the story was interesting, and obviously they keep remaking it.
Yeah.
There's so many versions, so the story
There's-
must be decent.
There's a 30s one. There's a Judy Garland one in the early 50s. There's a Barbara Streisand version, and there might be another one after that before you get to the current one. And of course, you have all the spirit sequels, spiritual sequels and stuff to that. That's spiritual predecessors and descendants or whatever you call it. After Cam Worker, I have music, but I feel like we covered that, right? Yeah. So
What was your favorite song from the movie?
City of Stars, because that's the only one I can remember anything from. And
Yeah, Leah mentioned that they're not very catchy, and yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the opening one where she's like da 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 da, and you're like, what the heck are you saying? Something. I
Yeah.
was 17, met a guy at a bus station or something. I
It was,
couldn't.
I didn't know what they were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. I think she's saying that she got on a bus and just went to Hollywood. I assume is what the song was about, and the actual music underneath it's pretty good. And City of Stars and then the one for the Dreamers, for the same reason I can actually remember, but it's still something. Da 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 da. This one's for the Dreamers. Da 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 da. City of Stars.
The first bar of that song is, I think about that day I left him at a Greyhound station west of Santa Fe. So
Very memorable.
the opening line of this
You're right, Sean.
musical is about abandoning somebody.
Well, maybe.
I saw a
Well-
review, and someone said it should have been called City of Cars. Much more realistic for what Los Angeles is. Like, yeah.
Wait, that's actually
I can see that.
Yeah, well, that's a joke about like John Wick, whereas if it took place in New York, he'd just be stuck in traffic,
Yeah.
maybe on a horse even. If you've seen that series, but yeah.
So are we looking at like choreography with La La Land? Is that, do
Yeah.
you still want to cover that?
Yeah, we're going
I-
to go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say I have one thought with that like, I think the choreography that I liked the most with it was when they had their like scene where they're walking back from the party and she's looking for her car and they're doing like the tap dance. I think that the choreography with that was kind of clever, and like how they were setting up the song, how they were setting up, like they were starting to kind of
Yeah.
like each other. And it was also, I know we've talked about like having it be too similar to the classic films and stuff like that, but I thought that was a good way that they did that was their way of trying to be like, paying homage in a way to like Singing in the Rain. If it very much captured that like very classic feel, that very like sweet kind of like flirty sort of moment, and they kind of stumble in this tap dance. I thought the way they put that together was really really clever with the choreography combined with the music with that. But I feel like overall in the film, like, I mean, there were other little moments like that, but that was the most like choreographed moment besides for the opening. But like, what are your guys' thoughts on like, what was your favorite moment with that, or how do you feel like they did with that overall with the film?
I agree with you, Laura. I thought that was clever and fun and cute how they got into it. I mean, it was fine. I think it was, if I'm going to be critical, I think the choreography was choppy and sloppy. Whereas like the older musicals was the kind of the opposite. It was like flowy, but like sharp, you know?
Yeah.
Like they're so sharp. Everything is so sharp, but you can't tell because it's so flowy. But does that make sense?
Was it
It's like it
on?
looks easy, right? It
Yeah.
like when you watch Gene Kelly, you're like, wow, I can do that. No, you can't. Like it looks easy, right? But like what they did in La La Land, it looks like they learned how to do it in a college semester of tap dance. Like you know, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was it on? I had a hard time because I watched it on Tubi and on my phone. It stutters. Was it on beat? Was it hitting the mark in terms of rhythmically speaking?
I think so,
It was.
but
Yeah.
very like I think that's. I mean, I could be wrong about this, but I think maybe that's why it was choppy, because it was like they weren't really good dancers, so they had to be like do 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 do
That's it.
like
Where he's like go like this.
in
Yeah. Like
order
she's,
to hit the beats, they
yeah.
had to dance like this in order to make sure they hit the beats. Does that make
Yeah.
any sense? I don't even know.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense.
Yeah. It's like it's got to be in the 1 and 3 or they can't do it or something like that or yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay.
like setting up an easy version of it. Like you got this complex version. Well, we'll divide that in half so that our talent that we have can at least do this.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. They had to make it doable for them.
they compromised and made it work.
I wonder why they didn't do something like let's just have it be like the ballroom stuff wasn't terrible. You know what I'm saying? The
No, I
ballroom.
liked the
Yeah.
ballroom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It was flowy.
I'm not saying you could do a whole film that way, but like there is adjacent stuff that you could do. But there's some it's weird. It's weird like what musicals get made and the requirements. Like it's gonna be gritty and real. We're gonna record on the sets. We're gonna actually have them cry. It's gonna be great. You're like, okay, they could have done that back in the day, but they didn't for reasons. But whatever, whatever floats your boat,
Well,
man. Yeah,
I want to point out something along
Yeah.
that line.
yeah.
For Fiddler on the Roof, they just put something, I don't know what they did, but some kind of filter just to make it look grungier. You know, instead of making it literally grungier, they just had some kind of filter on the camera lens to make it look a little bit dirtier.
The Norman Jewison version, or is this a remake, or?
The original Fiddler on the Roof from from the 70s. I don't know when. I think it came out in the 70s.
I was watching some other films by that guy. He just passed in the last 2 years, I think. Yeah. Oh, he died a month ago, which is kind of a sad. 71. He also did In the Heat of the Night and Thomas Crown Affair and some other stuff. Thomas Crown Affair, I don't think is that good, but yeah, moving on. But yeah, choreography for me, I think it's the same thing where it's like stuntmen say the worst person to do a fight scene with is an actor because you'll get injured because an actor doesn't know how to pull a punch. So then you have to scale back an action scene if they actually want to have their face on there. But I think since the 90s, they've been digitally putting actors' faces on the stunt doubles because it's
neat.
insurance, risk mitigation, all that kind of stuff. So like Keanu Reeves said for John Wick, if he's shooting a gun, that's him. If he's getting hit by a car, that's his stuntman. Because you'd be stupid to put someone you're paying $10 million in that kind of risk on a film that costs that much. But so same with this choreography, it's like the Fred Astaire's, the Stanley Conan's, the guy behind whatever. I think Fred Astaire did one scene for one movie, and they're like, we got to get this guy his own film. Like if you've seen like a Howard Hawks film, there'll just be an inexplicable musical number. I watched Only Angels Have Wings with my siblings the other day, and there's just like one musical sequence in the middle of the film for no reason, where they all get together sing a song around a piano, and her ability to mine on the piano, Jean Arthur's, was it was like at least rhythmically there. I don't know if the notes were right, but she might be able to play, she might not be able to. And then the film Howard Hawks did, that's kind of a rip-off of Casablanca with Humphrey Bogart, has the same thing too, where right in the middle of the film, there's just a random musical number. But they would bring in people to kind of do musical numbers like that, and then if they were good enough, they would give them their own films, after that. So that's how Fred Astaire got his thing. That's how I think a lot of actors and actresses, whatever. But I don't know if it's maybe because they were trying to sell sound as a technology, that maybe there was more investment in that in the 30s, because the jazz singer, you ain't heard nothing yet kind of a thing. But
Yeah, the closest thing they had before that is somebody in the room playing along to the movie, which
so
that's quite fun. A venue local to the Duluth did something like that. They did an old silent film, Charlie Chaplin film, and had somebody on the piano in the back playing along and kind of accenting the moments in the film. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm sure I've seen the General a few times, and usually the backing music is awful. Like they just looped a track over and over again. And it's like, it'd be nice to actually watch a 2-hour-long silent film with music that matches. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I was it seems like there was a bigger like stage to film pipeline. Like Billy Wilder, all those guys started off. A lot of comedians before the advent of television started off on the stage. And so the guys you would get to write Holiday or Bringing Up Baby or something like that were stage people. The Dracula film was stage. They did the version of the stage play. I think 12 Angry Men was even a stage play. A lot of different stuff was stage things. And then as stage got diminished financially, less viable, probably because of television, now all your comedians come out from improv now, because of Saturday Night Live and Second City. And, people like, I don't think Mel Brooks would have, Mel Brooks was a mix of both or something like that. But I wonder if there's multiple like market forces that maybe has driven us to where we are now. Maybe not necessarily the creatives themselves in terms of that.
Where would define that? Where we are now? Like, what's your point to that?
Kind of the point where they're so risk averse, they're gonna find out that they can only take risks to make money from this point. Like if you put if you're so risk averse, you put all your eggs into one basket, you're gonna eventually find that the baskets don't sell, and so then you got to find more baskets and spread your eggs out thinner, which is what happened in the early '70s when they corporatized the first time. But I don't know. And
Disney. Disney has such a huge monopoly on everything, and then, I mean, do they own A24? But that seems to be that company seems to be like the, just the harbinger of art house films. A24, and they own it. They love their reputation, and they take risks, it seems like, and put out really cool stuff. So I love seeing that.
Yeah, and and also like a company like Apple, which is like, oh, it's crazy, you want to spend $200 million on a film that some people will watch, that was what happened, and then same with Netflix or whatever, or Amazon is in a similar position where they can lose money, So like as big as a company as Disney is, they're nowhere compared to Apple, Amazon, which are in the top, 50. Even Sony's a bigger company overall. And so those companies will just kind of keep creeping on in their thing. So that could lead to some real change where, kind of like where the game industry is, where games are coming out of Eastern Europe and, Europe and Asia and South America and all over the world. It's not all just in one area of the country.
Yeah, that's one thing. It's foreign films. There's countries with thriving film industries, and there's a high likelihood that you haven't seen a single one. It's incredible. There's a lot of region locking going on with an online only film watching culture.
Yeah. So like, to get back on track, do you think that this film is? We can go. Let's go like this way here. Do you think this film is better than just an award showpiece? Like, is this a sincerely created film, or is the end product feel like it's sincerely created? I'll start with you, Aaliyah.
Mm, I guess I appreciate the aim. I think the aim was creative, and I think blending that old with new was creative and successful. And I like, again, my favorite thing was the setting of the movie. So in that way, I think it was a success for just my opinion. Other than that, I no, it was just a showpiece, I would say, like you said.
Laura?
Yeah, I would kind of agree with Leah on that. I think there were definitely things I really enjoyed about it. I do feel like it's a movie I could watch a few years from now and be like, oh, I still enjoy those same things. But it definitely seemed like it was made to be very flashy to get the awards and had a star-studded cast to try to draw in the money and get the awards. So yeah, I kind of agree with Aaliyah in that mindset.
And you, Corey?
Yeah, I guess the question can be framed in that, is La La Land Oscar bait, or was it when it was produced? Was it planned from the beginning to be? I just looked it up here. Doing everything they can to earn themselves an Academy Award. You know, well made, earnest productions, which prove that prestige movie making can be as formulaic as genre blockbusters. So were they trying to like use the golden age of musicals as a way to just kind of create this recipe for an Oscar-winning formula, basically, for musicals, and kind of create it and commoditize musicals and say, okay, if we get these star power characters and we kind of follow this formula of, as we've touched on, this like much too realistic, like adding way too much realism to the musical genre, and then adding in these other aspects of overwhelming positivity and you know, can any one of those real elements really save the entire film? And that's what it comes down to, is if you're trying to point at a production in a direction from day one, such as making Oscar bait, it ends up kind of being a gimmick. It's pretty clear. You can see through the lines pretty much immediately. I would say, yeah, this film, there's aspects of it that are good, but I think it aimed at having the biggest stars, having a plot that didn't go too far into character drama, was a lot more musical. Maybe the musical genre was a little bit more sparsely populated that year, and they could go in and clean up with Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone doing ba da 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 da.
Yeah.
You know, so I would say yeah. I'm like an 80-20 on it being, hey, Ryan Gosling just called back. He wants to do it. Okay, okay. I haven't made any lyrics yet, but we start tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, my thought is, at least it's not a biopic, you know what I'm saying? Or like a film like, they came out with a Cary Grant one this year, and I'm like, after watching the Buster Keaton biopic and realizing they combined 3 of his wives together, truncated his entire career, cured his alcoholism in like 3 years instead of 20, you know, it's one of those, trying to make it like one sweeping romance rather than, you know, him. There's a scene in the film where he's trying to do the talkies and he just can't pull it off. And no, he did talkies. He did a lot of them. They just were bad. It wasn't like he couldn't memorize lines or something. So at least it wasn't a biopic. I'm still mad about that film. And it's been 15 years, but actually not 12 years. But let's do a couple things in closing because I think we've been here for a bit. And to go through all of it scene by scene would be nice, but that just isn't time. So I got 3 categories here. If you want to pick a favorite song, maybe a favorite scene, and then we'll talk about the ending sequence at some point here. But yeah, how about we work backwards? So start with you, Corey. Do you have a favorite song and a favorite scene?
I can't say that I do. I mean, the first song is pretty much the catchiest one, but the rest of them don't really have this awareness of just kind of being out there and fun. They're really more to like awkwardly push the plot forward. So I think first impression, it would be the opening song, just because it's catchy. It's an earworm.
Okay. You, Laura? Okay, I can't remember here.
Yeah, I guess in general, I'd say I have a couple favorite songs. With City of Stars, I really liked that one because that one kind of had like a melancholy tone to it, but also like, I don't know, like hopeful in a way. And it was like written out of Seb's love for Mia. And that's why I thought that was really sweet. But I think he also, like when we first hear him like singing the song, he's singing about like, is this just going to be another thing like everything else in my life that's not going to come together? So that kind of like I don't know, I just thought that was very beautiful, like tragically beautiful. And then I also really liked Mia's last song of singing "This Is for the Dreamers" just because that resonated with me personally and like feeling very like inspiring and like just feel like I'm a dreamer, I don't know. So I liked that a lot, and yeah.
Yeah. And I'm pointing at you because I can't read for a second here. Aaliyah, go ahead. And,
I'm gonna have to make this quick because duty calls. But I like City of Stars. I don't know why. It just sounded nice. And the scene at the dinner table where they were fighting, to me, was the most captivating and most believable. And I want to point out, I don't know who else might have noticed this, but after their fight, and he went over to pull whatever he had, weird giant loaf thing he had pulled out of the oven because it was smoking. They showed her face, and it looked like a horror movie. It was like red, and to me, it really looked like a shot out of a horror movie. And I was like, that is weird. That seems really out of place.
yeah.
But anyway, that's all I have. Thank you so much for having me, Sean. It's been a blast.
Yes.
Nice to see you, Laura. Nice to meet you, Corey.
Nice
It's
to
been
meet you.
fun. And
Thank you, Leah.
take care, guys. Goodbye.
Duty calls.
Yes.
Then there were 3.
And there were 3. All right, so inner circle now, right? So
Is that the cast? Is that it?
not quite. Did you guys want to talk about that last montage?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot to unpack with it. So I'd like to just talk about it for a minute. I will keep it brief. But I really thought that was fascinating how they showed that. It was essentially I wrote down a note. I like what I wrote. Hold on. So they were showing kind of what they had wanted. Oh, I'm sorry. My dog's gonna bark now. Okay. One moment. Sorry about that.
You're fine. I can barely hear it, so you're good.
Chloe. Okay, are you sure you can barely hear it? Because I don't want to ruin the audio.
Yeah,
okay.
we both have monitoring headphones in, so yeah, you're
She's
fine.
so loud to me, so okay. Anyway, but yeah, I really liked that last one because it's showing the life that they both wanted, and I think it was very telling of like how reality is. So they're seeing this romanticized version of what they wanted with the songs playing and the montage of the music, and it's their perfect relationship where they could be together and have their dreams. And like it just seemed like it seems like this is the life they could have had if they hadn't have had that fight and everything like that. If Seb hadn't compromised his love for jazz and gone into the modern jazz or whatever, it made it seem like this could be like the perfect way. But then reality hits that like they can't have both. they had to choose between like their relationship and pursuing their dreams. Because like Seb ultimately wanted to own the jazz club, and then she ultimately wanted to make it big in Hollywood. And I think that was an interesting ending, because like you wanted it to be this fairy tale ending of the Hollywoodized ending, because there is even moments in the montage where they showed like Hollywood sets, and it's like this romanticized version of it.
Yeah, an homage to
Yeah,
the,
an
the
homage to
clear
the
set.
classics.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool, but also just like heartbreaking, but also satisfying. Satisfying at the very end, where we saw that they. I'm sorry, guys.
You're fine.
So it was very satisfying in the very end, where they both kind of concluded. You could see in their eyes looking at each other like, well, we decided that we would take our dreams, and we're happy with that, and we're both happy with our lives. So I thought that was kind of like a beautiful ending, but in an unconventional way. Usually we either get the Hollywoodized like romance where they fall in love and they go to the sunset together, or we like, get something of both, or it's just like plain out tragic. Someone dies, it's just like this ultimate tragedy. But nope, they just like they settle where they're both very happy with their dreams, even though they're not together, and they can accept that. So I liked that.
I thought, and maybe you two got a thought on it. You said something about his dream. Do you think it didn't work because he was compromised or because he was uncompromising?
That I think because he was uncompromising, because you could go look at the idea of that he compromised his dream and accepted the modern music, and then he got all into the fame of it. I ultimately think it was his pride in getting to the fame that like caused the fight with Mia, but I don't think that could have been a lasting thing. I don't think that could have been a substantial thing long term for him to compromise what he viewed jazz as. And so his uncompromising way of it resulted in the tension and the buildup of that, in my opinion. But
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. How about you, Corey? Did you have any thoughts on that final sequence, or?
I'm a big fan of the painted set.
Yes.
It's fun to see that, and I liked how they did it. The transitions and everything was really well done. Clearly an homage to yet musicals of yesteryear. I thought it was good, and yeah, as far as like the character drama and the development of each character and how they come together and then ultimately don't, so it doesn't have this like Hollywood ending.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like the modernization of the musical. I think we touched on that. So I like that it kind of took that voice of this character trying to do a modern version of this classic, immovable wall type of culture of Hollywood is like this and jazz is like this and it's always been like this, and then to update it and commoditize it and make it more of like a low risk, high investment type of thing. And
Yeah.
but specifically on the ending, yeah, it was just like a big hoot, just a big hootenanny, to use a
Yeah.
weird word.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying, hey, just a celebration of the genre, basically.
No. Yeah. I had the I was watching it, I'm like, man, I wish the whole film was that stylized, formal. You know what I'm saying? It's like the film's really good in terms of visuals, but it does that thing like that song number where it's referencing singing in the ring around the light pole, not light pole, lampstand. It ends with like an apple ringer. You know what I'm saying? Or you have that thing where with the Prius, which is fine, but it's like you could take the modern stuff and work it back into a more soundstage driven musical and kind of whatever, but the film is trying to split the difference between formalism and realism, surrealism and realism, formal as in
Yeah, and put too many harsh realities into a musical where there's supposed to be magical thinking.
and at that point, the musicals that tend to go down that route, canonically in the story, there'll be musicians to explain the musical sections, but it won't be that kind of like singing out of their soul kind of thing. It will be like, it'll tie into the themes. I think I'm not sure if that's how a Star Is Born works, but some of the versions of that are like that. But yeah, I don't know. The end sequence. I mean, what I took away was like, oh, they both got what they want, but he ends up alone, presumably. I couldn't quite figure that out, and it's like that's where the conventions of a romantic film are messing with a film about something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like something like Rocky. I don't know have you guys both seen Rocky?
Unfortunately, no. I need to see it.
Okay.
It's one of those that I haven't.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
Yeah. The boxing in Rocky, it's not about boxing, but the boxing supports all the themes of the story. And so the idea is he considered himself kind of a bum. He's working for a loan shark and stuff. There's 2 boxing matches at the beginning of the film and at the end of the film. And it all kind of ties in. And the romance is there. It's kind of more secondary. But it's a very important part. He's able to articulate how he feels about the world to her. He's like, yeah, I don't want to be a bum. I want to just go the distance, prove I'm a contender. I don't necessarily want to win. I just want to show that I'm more than just the kind of guy I am and all that. And so like him, like starts with him winning and cheating in an easy fight to him going up against basically a Cinderella situation. Where he's able to go up against the biggest fighter in America. And he goes, I don't know if it's 10 rounds with him. And he loses by a technicality, but he still did it. And that's where the film ends, you know, where La La Land is really has all the same like let's say screenplay, like it has all the same pieces, but it's a little less focused, which is fine, I think, you know, in ways. But Rocky's also about acting too, because Sylvester Stallone was at like $200 in his bank account, was doing some terrible films. And Rocky's about him being a guy who could have the talent to do things, and just by accident gets a chance to actually kind of step above his pay grade. And I don't know, maybe that's it. Sometimes if you make something about something else, it's a better way of explaining the thing itself than making a film about the thing itself. Like, the acting part of the film is not is prominent. You never get to see her career. How the specifics of how it manifests. You don't really, the addition stuff is brought in at random points. It's interesting, but with it, I'm like, it's very charismatic. It's very in the way it's portrayed, but it's like, I don't know, like there's an X factor, you know what I'm saying, in terms of all the cohesion or something. And that could be a structure. It could be all sorts of things. It could even be fine, you know, too. So let's we're at 2 hours, or at least 2 hours, not the podcast itself, but being here for 2 hours. But I have in my notes, I know both you guys are working on projects. Can you talk, do you want to talk about any stuff you're working on and whether or not people can find it, or,
Yeah, are you talking about like our different different projects like outside of film and stuff?
Yeah, you got like books and photography and all that kind of stuff. Yep.
She's got a whole book, a whole novel. It's incredible.
Whole novel that's getting ready. I am
Really
hoping I'm hoping to release my novel this year.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to announce a date yet because that's not set in stone. But I'm hoping by the end of the year, I'm finishing up the last edits with that, and that'll be my debut novel. It's going to be a fantasy novel, fantasy young adult. It's called The Guardian's Awakening. So yeah, my hope is to get that out soon.
I'm so in.
Yeah,
let me know when that happens.
Definitely. The general premise of it is it's like about a young girl who, from our world, who finds herself in a fantasy world, and it's kind of like Renaissance magic, kind of that sort of thing. And she finds out that she's destined to fight the dragon, like a dragon that's in that world, and so it's kind of like the chosen one sort of arc with that. So I wanted to write something that's like adventure and magic, and it kind of follows her story, and like her moving through elements from her past to face the reality of what she's dealing with, and yeah, so it's just kind of that hero arc, chosen one adventure story, and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting that out this year.
So cool.
When we do hear word, like where can we find you online to
Yeah.
keep up with you?
I'm planning to publish that on Amazon, so it'll be through Amazon. I'm planning to do ebook with that as well, with the Amazon KDP. So I'm hoping to, yeah, have that all set up on there. I'm just getting the fine touches done on having a website available with that on Amazon. So once I'm able to start formatting it on there and everything, I'll be able to announce a date, and then it'll be posted on Amazon for people to go check out. So hopefully soon.
Do you have a Twitter or anything like that, or?
I have my author page on Facebook. So if you go to Facebook, it's author Laura Cashin. You'll be able to find me on there. So that's what I have set up so far with that. And yeah.
Okay, cool beans. And then you, Corey, what do you got going, man?
So in April, there's a short film that I shot and directed. It's called Like a Butterfly. Debut director, debut writer, Anthony Vario, wrote the script. It's a very short, simple script, and it's about a singer, a lesser-known singer named Dusty Springfield, which is one of his favorites. The script is inspired by this singer and how he feels when he's listening to the music, and so it's a short film about that. That's releasing April 16th on my YouTube channel under my name, Corey Lehman. Got a documentary out that did really well. It's fully out, released in January. It's called The Clark Jones Story. It's on my channel as well. So just type in Corey Lehman, you'll find it, or go to Skills Give Life to Dreams, which is my website.
Gotcha. Is that where they can find your written reviews too?
Yeah. I also do blog reviews, movie reviews. I just watched Dune 2 a couple nights ago, so I'm going to be reviewing that. And I loved it. Spoiler alert, I loved it.
Do you have any galleries coming up, or is that on the pass?
Oh yeah, photo galleries. The one that I did is over and done with. There's an online version of it you can pay for. It's called East and West: The Things That Unite Us. And then I want to do a monochrome gallery. There's a flyer for it on my website, but I have yet to find a place to do it.
Gotcha.
Still looking.
Alrighty. Well, let's see. Let's do this awkward thing where I look right at the camera. That was it, folks. That was the inaugural episode of the Duluth's second most pedantic film podcast. Once again, you may be asking yourself, why the second most pedantic? Why not the first? Well, I won't bore you with the details, but if you do look at the rules, we only do qualify as the second most pedantic film podcast. So hope you enjoyed the discussion, and see you when or if ever we do the next one.